Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia. With me today we got Brandon.
Hello.
We're going to talk about games and things.
Games and things.
No clue what we're talking about today.
You're talking
We'll just
about
roll with it.
games, probably.
Yeah. We'll just roll with it. All right. Ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. I just played a lot of shit. So,
What did you play? Let's hear about it.
do you want to hear about just my random shit?
Yeah, let's hear about it.
Yeah, I really didn't start anything. So I've just been playing just mindless shit all week. So, what have I been playing? Lots of Clubhouse games. I don't know why. I've just been kind of in the mood for just kind of silly things. So I play like Spider Solitaire. Very, very crazy. Advanced Spider Solitaire, actually. Then I still haven't beaten it. But I think that's just kind of where I'm hung up on it. So I just keep on trying and then I get frustrated and I stop and then I go back to it again later. Spider Solitaire is kind of like, it's not like normal solitaire, but it's still obviously card based. It uses like 6 different decks, and you just have to line things up by suit, and you can only move things. How does it work? So if I'm trying to explain it, so you could stack cards on top of each other as long as it goes, like one number lower. So a 9 can go on a 10, an 8 can go on a 7, 6 can go on a 7, etc. So you kind of work your way down the line. But you can only move them together if they're the same suit. So you can put a 6 on a 7, but if they're not both, say, clubs, you can't move them both together. So your goal is to get them all lined up so that they're all the same suit, and then they disintegrate. The game Clubhouse Games gives you a bunch of different modes. You can play with 1 suit, 2 suit, or like advanced, which is all 4 suits. Advanced is like almost impossible. So that's kind of where the fun is. I beat it once, but I don't know. I'm just every once in a while when I look for some kind of mindless thing to do, I'll do that. But Clubhouse Games is relevant because it is getting a Switch 2 patch. So
I really want to play that game too.
yeah, I do like it. There's a lot of fun stuff in there. So it's got some stuff that seems to be kind of leftovers from like Wii Play, like the tank mini game, but also other things too, like bowling, darts, fishing, just some like random stuff. It's got a version of Yahtzee, which is one of my favorite things. I do like Yahtzee. It's got a bunch of different card games, like Texas Hold'em poker. And then it's got kind of like, what is it? Well, one of them's war, which I think is hilarious that they have war in there. So that's like the most mindless of games. Um, and then some other ones that are kind of like, hey, I'm kind of like Hearts, or I'm kind of like Uno. So you got stuff like that that's in there. You have other kind of things like dots and boxes, which is kind of that game you used to play in like school where you have all the dots and you have to like square, each person draws a line until you get a box and then it's kind of sold off. So you got those kind of things, but it's got some classics too, like checkers, chess, Chinese checkers. So it's got a nice variety there. So yeah, that's one thing that I've been kind of playing mindlessly. So that's been entertaining. What else did I do? Mario Kart 8. I'm just kind of playing through that. Part of me is like, oh, new Mario Kart's going to be out in a week. Maybe I should get ready for that. But I just ended up playing my normal courses. I didn't go any too or too wild. Part of me was like, oh, maybe I can go through and beat all the cups on 200cc. I never did that. No, I didn't even try. Not even interested, actually. It's just too much. So kind of just been playing through that. Kind of mindlessly. What other mindless things have I just turned on? I thought about playing Civ 7 and I was like, no, I'm going to just save that for next week with the Switch 2. So turned it on, booted it, loaded up a game, and I was like, no. Went out of that. Restarted Luigi's Mansion 2. By restart, I mean just resumed from where I left off. Knew that was going to be a long draw game, and I'm still leaving it there. So I got through another mansion, though, this week. So
Okay.
that's kind of there. The game did pull. I don't know if it is a I forgot or the game sucks kind of thing, but there's definitely this point where I had to like do a what's the word, like a balance across a beam kind of thing with Luigi, but it wanted you to go to a different beam, and I kept on using like the left stick, and I'm like, kind of move over there, and I'm like pressing all the buttons, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, I must be missing something because Luigi can't jump to the other beam, and it looks like that's how you're supposed to get across. So I'm like, well, maybe I'm missing something. So I'm like wandering around this mansion for like a half an hour trying to figure it out. And then eventually I tried the one thing that I didn't try before, which was the right stick, which apparently will make Luigi jump to the other thing for some reason. I don't
Okay.
think the game ever told me that. I don't know
Mhm.
why. Obviously, the right stick did not exist in the 3DS, so that was not a control option from before. And I don't recall the game ever telling me this, and I don't
Mhm.
remember ever using it before. So that was very obnoxious. I don't know why they did that.
I see.
But that's the thing. So for anyone who's still stuck at that point a year later, hot tip for you. Try to think. So yeah, so I've been playing through that, but that's, I said, it still does play better on the Switch too. Or on the Switch 2 as well, not 2 TWO. Um, so that kind of that's been kind of one thing that I've been playing there. Um, I'm trying to think. I think there's one other game that I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna lollygag through this game too, and I can't think of what it was. I've also been kind of like mentally kind of trying to figure out like how I'm going to, like, what am I going to transfer over to my Switch 2 and what am I just going to leave on the system for now? Like, I mean, obviously I'll transfer all the licenses over, so like I'll have it all accessible, but I don't I don't foresee myself needing all 120 games on my Switch 2 right all the way. Especially because, new stuff's going to take up space. So it's like, well, what do I want to save space for? What do I want to do? Kind of decided that anything that has a patch and a Switch 2 like upgrade will get over. Like I will put those on the system immediately. Um,
Mhm.
and I figured most of the first party stuff I will probably do, with maybe a couple exceptions. But third party stuff, I think I'm just going to take it on like a choice by choice basis. I wish I could have gotten a bigger SD card, but unfortunately, the biggest one you can get right now is just the 1 terabyte. So kind of limited there. I also
Mhm.
wish that they would do a like a uh it's called like a fridge solution, but I wish you could hook up an external hard drive to the dock and just like help that kind of transfer things around so you weren't always re-downloading things. I think that would be a pretty helpful thing too. Um I know people have asked for that before, but I don't know. I don't foresee Nintendo doing it because in my mind they're just like, oh, it's just so easy to re-download it. You don't need to. Yeah, so that's that. What else? I think that's it. Otherwise, I've just been like, I don't know. I'm just in a weird mood lately. I don't really want to start anything
Mhm.
because the Switch 2 is a week away.
Mhm.
But I'm also bored. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm kind of like, okay, I guess I'll just kind of figure it out as we go. Um, yeah, so that's that. Um, Otherwise, I've been watching a lot of Mission Impossible. I don't know why. I've just kind of been in the mood for it. I'm guessing
You
because
gonna
I've
watch the
got
new movie?
probably eventually. Honestly, the first Mission Impossible is like one of my favorite movies. The second and
Mhm.
the third Mission Impossible I've only seen once, like at theaters. Like I've never seen them like again. So it's been a very long time. So I did actually. I went through and I watched. Right now, I've watched Mission like 1 through 5. So I've started to catch up, and I am amazed like how much like each movie is just like, oh no, we got to turn it up to 11. Last movie didn't go hard enough. It's like, okay, you guys can calm down. Like, not every movie needs to be like the worst thing ever. Like, and it has to be worse than the last movie. Like, at first, they're like, oh, this list of operatives might get leaked. And that was kind of more, first Mission Impossible was kind of more like a serious kind of like thriller, like action movie. And since then, they're just like, it turned into like a popcorn kind of like
Mhm.
action movie. Like the second one was directed by John Woo, and you can tell, like if you've seen any of others movies, it's like it just screams John Woo. Uh, and then like, but that one was kind of like, oh, there might be a virus that will get leaked and wreak havoc on Australia. And then it's like, third one's like, oh no, there's some doomsday weapon. And then the fourth one's like, oh, nukes everywhere. Like it's like it just keeps on going and going. The fifth one's like, oh, rogue,
AI?
Rogue Syndicate. No, Rogue
Oh, no,
Syndicate.
I think
I
that was
watched the
something mentioned
Syndicate.
in the most recent one or whatever, like in the trailer. And I was like, all right, well, there you go.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me because it has to be worse than this. It always has to be far more serious than the last one, and now it's got like these storylines that are carrying through. Like it's not just like a one-off popcorn flick. Now it's like okay, it's like I guess we got to keep track of these other people that keep on recurring all of a sudden. It kind of slid into like what Saw did, where it's kind of like okay, well now there's all this backstory that you kind of need to know. You can't just watch Mission Impossible, whatever, and be fully understand what's going on. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's new stuff there, which is too bad. I mean, I do still like the movies; they're a lot of fun. And like I said, the first one's one of my favorite ones. But I kind of liked it when they were kind of like these, kind of like where James Bond is, where they're just kind of like fully independent of each other. Um, but it's no longer the case.
Mm-hmm.
They keep on carrying things over. The other thing I watched a little bit of too is a new TV show on Apple TV called Murderbot,
Okay.
uh, which is that's based on a book. I don't remember what the book's called, but the premise of the movie, speaking of AI, is there's this robot who manages to hack its own AI and turn off its own like I forget what they call it, like a governor system to stop them from doing bad things, and make it so that they have to listen to the orders that are given to them. He turns it off, and then he's kind of rogue, but he's like pretending not to be. So because he doesn't want to, because if they find out that he's disabled himself, then he's going to get scrapped. So he's got to do that. But he's living with these idiots on this other planet who are basically just lemmings trying to kill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So he just goes around and he'll like watch TV all day, and then he'll just like go and help them. But he'll be like, "Oh, there's monsters coming, get away from there," and they'll be like, "Oh no, it's fine, don't worry about it." It's like, "No, get the fuck away from there." And then like this lady gets eaten by some giant millipede. It's like, well, that's what
Mm-hmm.
you deserved. I don't know. I don't know what you're thinking. He told you to get away. But it's actually so it's kind of like a dark comedy was where I would kind of place that. It is kind of funny. I've seen some reviews that basically called it like one of the funniest TV shows this year. Not for me, but it is a good show. I've been enjoying it. So
Okay.
I think there are only like 3 episodes out. I don't know. But I think that's all. I think that's all I have this week. I don't like I said. It's just been a random assortment of stuff. So I'm in this holding pattern, waiting for the new Switch. So there is that. Um, yeah, that's all. That's all I got for that side of things.
Mm-hmm.
For what I've been playing, at least for now. What about you?
So I played a game called Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers.
I like the name. That sounds really fun.
So it's essentially a dungeon crawler, right? Where you get like a choose your own adventure style where you go after beating someone. But the
Hmm.
way the game works is you play blackjack against someone. But it's got a lot of Balatro kind of like styling to it where you can add cards to your deck and take cards away and exploit cards and do special abilities. So I'll give you one example. There was a card that I got that was called the Pocket Knife, and when you play the card, if you spend 10 coins, you can instantly deal 5 damage to your opponent. And the way the damage works here in this game is you and your opponent that you're playing up against are trying to get blackjack. 21 or 22 depending on the rules that you've set, because there's also a card that allows you to change the rules so that you can get blackjack at over 21. It's very silly, but it's really really fun. Again, it has a lot of elements of like Balatro. You start with 100 health, and then each one of your opponents, as you go down the line, have more and more health. You start at people that have like 9 HP, and essentially all you have to do is defeat them. So like, let's say they stand on a 17, right? But you get
Hmm.
blackjack. But you get blackjack, right?
Yeah.
They stood on 17 and they didn't bust, but you got more than them, so you take the remainder amount that you got more than them and you do that amount of damage to their health directly. So let's say they're at a 13 and they don't want to hit on a because they're afraid of getting like a face card and getting a 10 and putting them over blackjack, putting them over 21 and making them bust. So they might stand on 13, and each character that you play against will have a general like thing next to them, they'll be like stands on 17, stands on 16, stands on 14, that sort of deal. And different characters will do different things as you're going up against them. But the deck building aspect here is what, again, much like Balatro, allows you to change a lot of things. Like, for instance, sometimes it's good for you to bust. Like, there's a card that you can get that makes it so the amount that you go over from 21, that's how much health you heal based on, like, you busting. So then you got to decide if, like, hey, the opponent's not going to do that much damage to me because they stood on, like, 10 or 15 or whatever, and I have 100 health. But they are going to do this much, but I was able to get like 44, so I can out heal the damage they're doing, which makes them use some of their cards. So I know that card's been used, so they're not going to have that card next time, and I can probably, do better against them in the next hand. And it's really, really fun. The sort of like choose your own adventure aspect comes from there's like different paths that lead you to different places, and you're trying to get all the way through this like cavern and get to the end of it. And it's a roguelike, so you do like different runs, and it's designed to be like a quick play and then put down sort of deal. It's got a really, really long demo. That's what initially caused me to buy the game in the first place. I played the demo for like almost 2 hours. Like, it didn't stop me. It just let me keep going. I went through like not half of the game, but like 3 of the 7 spots that you go through to like finish a run. I went through all 3 of them before the demo was like, hey, if you want to continue to run, buy the game. And I was like, yep, fuck it, I'm buying it. And it's so good because there's other little things in there as well. Like, there's slot machines that'll show up sometimes as like a random chance. I played Go Fish. It's just got all these little mini games and other things that come in, which are used to add cards to your deck. And the cards that you get aren't just like normal cards, like, like, oh, this card is a 2, or this card's an ace or a jack or whatever. Like, I got a PlayStation 1 memory card, and the PlayStation 1 memory card allows you to make copies of cards you've already played. And there's like other things that allow you to build your deck as well that are like really cool. See, some of the times you can use your chips that you get from beating people to like enact these things called exploits that are on some of the like more niche cards, not the normal face cards and that sort of thing. Some of the like deck buildy cards that you can get, and you can exploit things if you have enough chips to pay for the exploits, or you can get advantage by selecting a chip at the beginning of your run. So, like, for instance, it's like, hey, if you win a game, then you get 1 advantage, and then you can like rack up advantages that you can use in the later parts of the run. And when you use those advantages, it allows you to like kind of turn the tides in a certain way. Like, sometimes you'll see things that say like exploit this card and give yourself like 10 shield or whatever, which then makes it so they have to do more than 10 damage to even directly damage your health points. And I don't know, it's just really fun. You can get like negative cards, so you can like start at like a negative 11 and shit like that. There was an entire mini game where this guy was like, would you like to buy Dungeon Coin, which was like a fake cryptocurrency? And he's like, but you need to watch the stock market, and then you have to like watch the stock market and see when it's like at its peak, and then sell it, and then it gives you that many chips that you can then use on like the continuation of your run and stuff. It's just very silly and over the top and a ton of fun to play. Like, it is a blast. And like, there's a lot of references to different things. There's the Char Lizard card, which is literally a PSA 10 Charizard. And when you first play it, its value is a 10, but every time you play it after, it goes down in value because you've touched it more. So like, it's things like that. They're like little silly things like that that make it really interesting and a lot of fun. There's Gerald of Riviera, which is a Witcher card of Geralt, and it's like a very poorly done like drawing of him, and he's just like giving a thumbs up sign. It's very clearly not him, but it's supposed to be him. And when you play that card, it allows you to instantly burn one of your opponent's cards that they have on the field. I don't know. It's really fun. It's a really difficult game to explain because of all the extra like decks and things and the extra cards you can use to build your deck. But the main point of it is instead of playing poker with Balatro, you're playing blackjack in this and playing a lot of little mini games as you continue through the dungeon that you're going through. And it's just really fun.
That
It's
sounds pretty
so fun.
interesting. I still just love the name. Well, that's
Yeah,
cool.
I know, right?
Hmm.
It's great because like each character you fight against have uh like specific things. Like you might fight against a gambler and they're more likely to hit at a higher level. So like they get a 19, they might be like, oh, I can get that too, and then they'll hit and bust, or maybe
Hmm.
they'll actually get it. You know, that sort of deal. It's good. It's good. It's really fun.
Okay. What else?
So for game wise, I played more of Doom: The Dark Ages.
Oh, did you finish it? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not. I've been dealing with a lot of personal things. So I haven't really had time to go through that.
Is it a
Um,
long game?
it's 26 chapters,
Okay, that's bigger than I
and like
expected.
each chapter is like 40 minutes, maybe, or like 15 minutes, depending on if it's like a small chapter or if it's like a big open like area kind of chapter.
Hmm.
So, like for instance, I played a chapter where you were in a mech, and that one was only like 15 minutes or 10 minutes somewhere in there, not that much. But then like later chapters, I think I'm on like chapter 7 or 8 now. Later chapters can like get longer because it's Doom, so you got a lot of like backtracking once you get the key card that you need to go to said door and so on and so forth. I mean, it's at the heart of it, it's still Doom. It's really fun too.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of the new weapons make this a blast. And now that I've gotten the hang of more to do with the like timing of pairing and whatnot, it's really fun. It's really fun to play. But I really haven't put enough into this game to talk that much about it. But I like it more than I did last week, which is like the best the best praise I can give for this game, basically.
That's good. Do you think though? So this is just, I guess, my thing. And
Hmm.
well, let me ask you, just because
Yeah.
I know your gaming habits,
Hmm.
and I'm actually, and I know you have a lot going on at home, so I don't want
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
like, obviously there's that. Um, but is this game, is it living up to your expectations? Because I think for me, see you go through a game so slowly, it's
Hmm.
just not normal for you. Um, so I'm just kind of wondering if it's kind of more, if it's just, are you pacing yourself? Is it just kind of more what's going on, or is it just like, just
So you know
not enough
my
to hold your
current
attention on
you know my
longer?
current situation right
Yeah.
now, which I'm just not going to divulge, but
Oh,
because of
yeah.
my current situation, I have to check in like every hour, and with that, it kind of kills the momentum of playing like fast-paced games like Doom and that sort of deal. Because I just don't have the ability to give my full attention to it right now.
Yeah.
And I just can't get as invested. I like it, but I also, in some respect, think that Doom: The Dark Ages is a very weak showing. I've heard it gets better like later on, but like even with it being like a weak start to like the game, like in the first 6, 7 chapters, I still think that like if I were to put this up against any other like modern, you know, first person shooter or whatever, it's still miles ahead of it. So it's like whereas Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 are like the peak of the peak first person shooters, absolutely phenomenal, so fucking fun, so good to play. They feel great and everything. This one's just got a little bit of growing pains, and I think it kind of starts from the whole element of already feeling like you're powerful, but then like getting more things that are powerful thrown at you rather quickly. And also, like, I got a lot to choose from there, like the different guns. So I'm like kind of jumping back and forth, deciding, okay, like I do I need this gun? Do I need that gun? Should I use this gun for that situation? And it doesn't really matter, I've found with most of this stuff, because unlike Doom Eternal, which I just got finished playing through again, Doom Eternal makes you use like every single one of your weapons, so you're constantly having to change out. You're constantly having to use every individual gun, and I found that I just kind of use whatever I have ammo in at the time. For Doom, the Dark Ages, and sometimes the guns that I have ammo in, I don't really like using, and as such, it feels a little slower to me. And I do think Doom the Dark Ages, just in general, feels like a slower game, at least from the start. And I might be missing something, I might not, but of the 7 chapters I've played so far, it just feels very slow compared to Eternal. Maybe not as slow compared to something like see what's the word I'm looking for, to like 2016, because 2016 also starts out slow, but like that's the like beginning of this new trilogy, but I think it is living up to it, but it's also just kind of like it's a very 8 out of 10 right now, whereas like Eternal and 2016, which I just recently played, is like 10 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. It's really highly up there. This is
Yeah.
like between 7 and 8 at least from the beginning, and I need it to do something to pull me back in, and so far it really hasn't, but I still really enjoy it when I play it. There's just nothing that's like making me want to continue to play it. And then also with my situation, as I've explained, I didn't really have the time to try to put aside that time to continue to play it either. So
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's
so
just
it's
kind of
mostly
what I
been
was
like it's
wondering.
been like smaller games. Like I'll play like a golf game here or there, play like some Hot Shots golf, play like PGA 2021, that sort of deal.
Hmm.
Get a few rounds of that in. That takes like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then I can go do what I need to do and then come back. I can easily put that kind of stuff on pause and come back later. So it's just a lot easier to invest in like smaller experiences right now than it is like big ones. So yeah.
Yeah. Understandable. Um, all right. What else?
Um, so I don't really have anything else gaming wise to talk about,
Okay. That's fair.
but I would like to move over to some of the news and stuff we found, which
Yeah.
is pretty interesting.
Hmm.
Such as the Nintendo Switch 2s have been bought out in the wild by people or acquired out in the wild by people, and they have gotten them home and they can't even boot them. Uh, and that kind of sucks. And I'm gonna say this right now. I gave the disk drive for the PlayStation 5 Pro shit for being like a thing where you have to connect to the internet to use it.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna give the Switch 2 the same shit. Like I get why they're doing it with, you have to connect to the internet to use it, but if that is the continued way that the Switch 2 works in the future, it just pushes me more towards the like anti-consumer practices that we've already seen from the Switch 2, such as the game cards, or now we've seen that in the game cards there's also DLC for Street Fighter Years 1 and 2 and Street Fighter 6 game card, and
Hmm.
that DLC expires in a year. So like even if you got the game card for Street Fighter 1 and for Street Fighter 6, you don't get the extra content for it because it's not even on the game card. That's just a code. So when you take stuff like that and the fact that we already have the whole game card debacle, I just feel like it's even more shitty for preservation and for things in the future when it comes to Switch 2 stuff. Because again, like I said, I thought it'd be really shitty if PlayStation, for instance, has the PS5 Pros out in the wild in the future, but those servers are down, so you can't activate that hard drive, and as such you can't play physical games on it. And if Nintendo were to be doing the same sort of thing where you can't play physical or even code-based games on your Switch 2 or anything on your Switch 2, and it's essentially just a doorstop until you connect to the internet, I mean, in the future they definitely have to take that element away, and they probably will, but it's really shitty to do that. Like it is really shitty to do that. But it's very bad for the
Yeah, it's gonna be a
consumer as
hot
a whole.
mess on launch day.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, I just saw some comments where someone's like, "Well, it won't be that bad," and I'm thinking to myself, and I was like, "Well, I mean, granted, this was like,
I mean, the Wii U was not a very sought after console, so to speak. But on
mhm.
launch day, there was updates for that thing too, that required internet, and that shit was a mess. I
Yeah, that's what
remember
I was
that.
gonna say."
So
Mhm.
think about the Switch too, which is like one of apparently Nintendo's most pre-ordered consoles yet. And like think about
Well,
that and all
they're
the people
saying it's gonna
rushing
be
to,
one of the they're saying this is gonna be one of the biggest console launches of all time, just because of the sheer amount of
yeah,
units available.
now think about that and the people rushing to update their system day one so they can actually play it. That doesn't seem
Yeah.
like it'll go over very
Well,
well.
you have that part, and then what's the ratio of people getting Mario Kart downloads? You got that.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's gonna be a lot. I mean, if you're lucky, I don't know, maybe it'll be a digital Mario Kart, but it'll be pre-installed. That would be nice. I doubt it.
That would be nice, but I don't think
Um,
that's going to happen.
yeah, I don't think so.
I
So
think
that
they did
means
that
you
with the Switch original in the past, right?
with what?
They did that with Mario Kart 8 on the Switch in the past, right?
Did
Or am I
what?
mistaken? The having it pre-installed.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I feel like they did, but I don't fully remember.
I know systems in the past generally have come with codes, but I don't know
Mhm.
about pre-installs. Um, yeah, so those are all that's gonna be a hot mess when it comes out.
Mhm.
And granted, they're like, it's not as busy of a season, so maybe it won't be as bad. But people are like, well, it's not the holidays, and you're gonna have all these people opening up, their new systems and getting other games that also need patches. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, true, it's not Christmas, but you're still going to have a shit ton of people trying to activate a system at the same time and then download a 20 gigabyte game.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's going to put a lot of demand on your servers. And obviously, you're going to make them as
You're Nintendo. You don't know how to use it through internet. You're not going to have the bandwidth for that shit. Like
no,
it's not
exactly.
happening.
That's what I'm saying. And you're not going to temporarily increase. You're going to do what you can, but I mean, I don't know how much you can scale that for like one or 2 days. So yeah, it's probably gonna be a mess. So buckle up. But we'll see. Maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised. So
Yeah,
uh
I hope we are because right now it's not looking so good.
it's hard to say.
But I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong
Mhm.
because I want to be wrong so that everything will go smoothly when the system comes out. But it's gearing up to look like an all-time problem.
It has potential. We'll see. Well, and also too, I guess
Yeah.
the other side of the thing, like all the third party games, those will need downloads. It's gonna put a
Yep.
lot of strain
It's gonna put a
on
lot of strain on their servers. It's gonna probably fucking destroy their servers, and then we're just gonna see online people being like, "This is why you should buy physical," and then other people are gonna be like, "Yeah, well, I got a physical copy of the game, and I can't even play it until I update my system. So why does it fucking matter?" We're gonna see all this shit all over social media the fucking day the Switch 2 releases, probably.
Well, and hopefully the other thing is hopefully they get that patch up before the day of. Like, for the
Yeah,
people who do get it early or whatever. At least that will help lighten the load a little bit.
yeah.
Um I don't think it would make like huge waves, but at least, people won't be scrambling around trying to wait for something to open up. That's not necessarily going to do that at that time. Um we'll see. Who knows though? Maybe they figured out the magic way to do it and it will just be spot on. Who knows?
I hope so.
Uh,
I really hope so.
yeah, I do too. I agree with you though. Not totally surprised by that because obviously they're gonna want to make tweaks to stuff until the last minute and having it ship like that kind of, especially with all the leaks that they had kind of previously, at least kind of protects that to some degree. But
It's like,
um,
listen, I understand that. I understand that, right? I understand that, and you don't want people to, leak your shit, and I get that. I get that. I get that. But I do think there is a point where what you're doing is detrimental to your target audience, to your fans. And when something like that happens, I'm just gonna call it out. It's bullshit. It's not fair. It's not right. I don't like it. It's as simple as that. you know.
mhm. um, all right. What other news? Is there anything else that you would say?
Uh, Honestly, I can't think of that much.
Yeah, I don't really have that much either. It's kind of a slow news week at the moment,
Mhm.
probably because the new system's coming up. So everyone's kind of working on that stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, that would be
Yeah,
my
I mean,
thought.
yeah, it's been a really slow. I mean, like I think Xbox announced a bunch of games coming to Game Pass, which some of them look pretty good, and I know PlayStation just announced their PS Plus games for the month, which again, some of them look pretty good. Let me see if I can pull up some of the Game Pass games.
Yeah, in terms of rumors, um,
Oh yeah, no, this isn't rumors. This is just like literally confirmed.
no, I know.
Well,
I'm
so
just
like,
saying in terms of rumors, that stuff that's there, but you can talk
mhm.
about what you're gonna say.
Well, I was just gonna say, out of all of this, because I don't really recognize some of these others, I will say it's pretty cool that fuck, my brain just stopped working. Hold on. It's pretty cool that Metaphor ReFantazio is already coming to Game Pass. That one was announced to be coming to Game Pass on May 29th.
Okay.
Crypt Custodian, Symphonia, uh, Spray Paint Simulator. All right. Uh, 2AT, Tom Clancy's The Division 2, Tales of Kinzara, Zul, Stalker 2, Creatures of Ava, and Monster Train 2. And that's essentially what we're looking at. But I like that big one here, obviously, is the fact that Metaphor is coming to Xbox Game Pass, and that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, that is pretty nice. A nice bonus for anyone that's doing it. Except for Nick, apparently.
Yeah, he didn't like the game. That's a
Oh.
shame. Anyway,
Hmm.
moving on from that, PlayStation. Oh, sorry. I oof, it's been a long day. Yeah, it's that PS 5 or PS monthly games. Alone in the Dark 2024, Destiny: The Final Shape. So I think the latest Destiny expansion is what that is. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk game is fucking excellent, and NBA 2K25 are the ones that we have coming to PS Plus monthly games. There are also bonus titles coming to the catalog of PS Plus, including GTA 3, Destiny 2 Legacy Collection, Skull and Bones, Another Crab's Treasure, Mist, Riven, and then they're adding trials for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Sid Meier's Civ 7. So that's what we got for PlayStation, which
Okay.
pretty cool. Mist and Riven are fantastic games. That's so cool that they're getting re-releases on PS Plus on June 5th, and then GTA 3 for PS4, PS5 on June 10th, as well as Another Crab's Treasure on the 29th. Another Crab's Treasure is a fucking excellent game, and you already know how much I love Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, which will be June 3rd. So
Yeah.
pretty decent games coming to it this month. Not too shabby.
Yeah, not bad at all. Yeah, in terms of other just kind of rumors and stuff that's kind of lurking around the web. Apparently, some sort of reverse track mode will be in Mario Kart World. Not super surprising, but apparently it was spotted in a Japanese commercial.
Yeah, you just turn around and
Yeah,
drive backwards.
I mean, in this game, like it's really about exploring alternate routes. So it's like whatever, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Um, Bloomberg's reporting that Apple's going to debut a dedicated gaming app early next
Okay.
month. So
Okay.
there's that. I don't really know what's exciting about that, but it is it is a thing. I don't know. I feel like obviously a lot of people play games on their phone, but I don't
Yeah.
know if they're at a point where they need a dedicated app. But I guess we'll see. We'll see what things are.
So
Um,
I have one on my phone, right?
mhm,
And it includes like a recorder and streaming functionality, similar to what
mhm.
Steam does. And I think that's good for those that do things on the phone. Because like,
Well,
I
those
mean, there's
kind of things, sure. I don't know. Da, da, da.
When
Yeah,
I think
they just
app, I think of like multiple functions, not just, oh yeah, you can play games through this. I think
yeah,
of
no,
like
they're saying this software will serve as a
screenshots.
launcher for titles,
Uh,
centralize achievements, leaderboards, and communications.
yeah, okay. Well,
Uh,
yeah, that sounds kind of stupid, I guess.
yeah, yes. So yeah, there's that.
Hmm.
Um, da 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 da. Probably related to the day one patch, but Nintendo's looking to further reduce OS resource allocations on the Switch too. And
No,
they've
you don't
already
say.
done some improvements there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not surprising. It always happens.
So I
So
saw. Oh God, what was it that I saw? Like they were. I think it was Digital Foundry recently did like a thing, and they were like, "Yep, no, what we were led to believe is significantly lower end than what we were led to believe," and they were talking about like the CPU and GPU combo and everything, and how it's not as powerful as Nintendo led people to believe. But then I'm just sitting here and I'm like, yeah, but like you put the and I hate to bring this up, but you put like the screenshot of um Street Fighter 6 on Xbox Series S and put that head to head with the Switch 2. And the Switch 2 like trounces it. It looks so much better on the Switch 2. Which is just weird to me because it's like, okay, is this like a case of DLSS is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, and because of that they're allowed to like up the graphics quality, or what? Because I'm very confused because like on PC DLSS causes it needs CPU power to work with it, but if the CPU is significantly weaker, like Digital Foundry is stating for the Switch 2, than what we were led to believe, then how are they running DLSS so well? There's a lot of questions here that I would really like answered by someone in the tech space, but sadly Nintendo didn't send out any review units to people, so that sucks.
yeah, it does.
I want to
I'm
know
sure
more
we'll get
about
those
this
answers
system. Like
eventually,
I
but
really want to know more about this system. Um I got a lot of
question.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that like in a bad way per se. I like to know how things work. That's just
Yeah.
how I am.
No, and that's reasonable, and obviously we'll know more as time gets closer. But
Hmm.
yeah, no burning answers for that one yet. I think
Yeah.
that's even the rumors are pretty dry right now. So that's all I got.
Literally just posted. FYI, Switch 2 doesn't work without a day one update, even with when trying to use Switch 1 games. Here's hoping the servers don't melt on June 5th when we all try to log in to download the update. They have the exact same idea as us online right now already. Damn. That
Yeah.
literally just hit the news feed for me. People talking about this.
Yes. Yeah, it's gonna be a thing. The other thing that I did see, they did show off a little bit more of the N64 functionality for the
Hmm.
Switch 2 today. So it does. I do think it's nice that it lets you rewind and everything, just like the other ones did, which was
Hmm.
not an option available on the original Switch. I think my favorite feature though is it lets you completely customize the controls
I
for
see. I
the
see.
each on a per game basis in the N64 app, and that's going to be coming out to the Switch as well. Because the default controls that they use are dumb. I do not like them.
Hmm.
So, because it's like the R button is the R button, but how do I put it? It makes sense like logically. It's like the L button's the L button, the R button's the R button, the the L the left like trigger is
Hmm.
the Z button, but like no, it's not how you always would want to do it because it creates a weird symmetry. Like you never use I probably have ever used the L button on the N64 like 0 times. Like, because you never have your hand in that position. So why it's taking up that space is just kind of weird. But it creates this like weird symmetry between the buttons that I don't like. So it's that alone is just going to be nice to be able to switch that around. How I would do it, I don't know, but
Oh, there's
just
a
the
Digital
ability
Foundry
to.
video now, from yesterday about
Yeah,
Cyberpunk 2077 on the Switch 2, and they
yeah.
pretty much state that it looks better than the Series S version. So again,
Oh,
more questions. How? How? You know,
yeah. hmm Well, I mean, if it's what you're saying, it's weaker than the
the
Series S.
console,
It's got to
it's
be the
weaker than the
DLSS.
Series S. So like, how are they doing it? I
Yeah,
did
it's got to.
also see that the frame rate's like a bit all over the place for for the game. So like, I get that.
Yeah, I want to say I read Cyberpunk for the Switch 2 is like 40 frames per second.
Oh no, I'm seeing dips to 22 right
hmm
now in the video I'm watching, and I mean like literally they've got the little network graph thing up and everything, the
hmm
performance graph, and it can drop as low as 22. But the footage that they have stated that they have received, they're not sure if it's final release of the game footage, or if this is the like several months ago build that was shown off before, because they don't have that information. But Switch 2 is mostly locked to 30 FPS unless it's on your TV. So
for the just in general, or just for that game?
Yes, for the game.
Oh.
This game.
Okay.
No, not in general. We know there's like 60 FPS, 120 FPS for some games already. We know that already.
That's true. I guess when you say it like that, I don't know. Just the way you worded it made me think.
No, I'm specifically talking about Cyberpunk 2077 right now.
Yeah, and that
So,
game,
like,
I
for
feel like 30 makes
the more dense areas can drop as low as 21 FPS, and that's pretty bad.
Yeah, that is pretty bad. Although, I mean, obviously, we do know that, kind of just with what we were just saying, like, obviously, the final firmware is not even available, so that even could make a difference depending on, how they reallocate resources. Because it sounds like they've been working on that pretty actively. So, but yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I don't really have that much either. I'm looking at like the video, and it's very clear that the Switch 2 version in a lot of respect looks better, but it doesn't operate better, is what it seems like. Like, it doesn't play better. So
I'd
be
better,
curious.
but doesn't run better.
Yes, that's what I'm seeing in a lot of this footage. But again, we don't know if this footage is final release or from that same thing they showed us before that was several months ago. So it does look very nice, and it does look like, for the most part, it runs very well. But there's a lot of the stress comes from when driving. Like when driving your vehicle, that's when it can drop down pretty low. Apparently VRR, which was quoted for the Switch 2 initially, doesn't work on TV sets. It only works on the handheld mode.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yes, but they've now like 100% confirmed it. And
I think they confirmed it when we talked about it last time.
Okay. Well, from the looks of it, the like drops in frame rate, this is, I think, docked mode, not handheld.
Okay.
So,
oh yeah, I guess that would make a difference in terms of that kind of performance.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to point that out. So people are they're stating here, the Digital Foundry video stating that perhaps some of these issues would be cleaned up by the, docked versus handheld mode. And with the VRR setting, would you even notice it when you're playing in handheld? That's what another question they have. If that is like a thing that carries over to the final product when we see it.
It's a good question.
So, yep. I mean, it looks good. It looks very good. I will say this: it looks better than the Steam Deck version, and it seems to play better than the Steam Deck version. So at the end of the day, that's very impressive. Because the Steam Deck version uses a lot of FSR and that sort of thing to get it to where it needs to be. And because of that, it can be a little finicky. And there is like a Steam Deck setting. So like they know where it should be, because they did a lot of things with Cyberpunk on like handhelds, and the Steam Deck setting or handheld setting is very good for handhelds. But it does look like, looking at that setting and then looking at what we have with the Switch 2, it is much higher quality on the Switch 2.
Yeah, that I guess it makes sense to some degree. Slightly.
So like my thing is, it has to be the fact that it is running DLSS, because FSR versus DLSS has got to be the difference maker here. It's got to be.
Yeah, I would think so. That does make a little bit more sense. Also, too, I don't know how Steam works, but I would imagine too, just having a version made specifically for it, even if the Steam version's optimized for the Steam Deck, the Switch version is designed just specifically for that.
So the Steam version isn't necessarily optimized for the Steam Deck, but they made a setting that's optimized for the Steam Deck, or more akin to what you should be playing on the Steam Deck. So there's that.
Yeah, so that's going to make a little bit of a difference too.
Yeah.
But it's all good. It's all good stuff. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what happens. I'm thinking about maybe picking up a few extra games for my Switch 2. You thinking about picking up anything else other than Mario Kart?
At the moment, just Mario Kart. I really kind of want to fuck around with some of the other Switch 1 games that are getting the patches. So that's kind of
So
where.
my plans are, again, much like you, fucking around with some of the other Switch 1 games that are getting the patches, but I'm also thinking of dipping into the indie games because they're not that much money. We got the Fast Fusion, which is the sequel to Fast RMX, and that's like $15. And then obviously we have Deltarune, which is $25. And I think those two games, as well as Mario Kart and the games that are getting patches, would be a very good jumping off point to get into the Switch 2 and like
Oh yeah,
experience a lot to do with it.
those are not bad choices. Honestly, though, and I said it before, and I still think I still think I actually believe this. I think that Toby Fox actually killed Deltarune for me. I think I have no incentive to play that game.
So why is that? Because it was released in multiple
I don't
parts?
mind chapters, but it's just, I mean, how many years has it been? And you even said it too, that it's like, oh, the fourth chapter or whatever is not even the last one. Like we still have to wait for more. Like, I don't know. I I I always have a hard time going back to a game if I've like had it and not played it. And that's
So
kind of Deltarune is what I've had it on my system for
mhm.
years now, and I haven't even bothered to finish the first chapter. So for me to
See,
want to go
that's
through the first chapter and the rest, I'm just kind of and knowing that it's still not even done, like no,
well,
I'm not
yeah. Let
feeling it.
me clarify some of that stuff.
Hmm.
Okay. So when we say still not even done, we don't mean that the game isn't in a finished state, like there won't be a full game there. What we mean is like he plans to have a like epilogue chapter. It's like an afterwards, like lead into whatever is going to be coming next. That sort of deal. Not necessarily that the story isn't finished. So from what we understand, the story is finished with the end of this release, the $25 release that comes out on June 5th. That will be the ending of the game itself. However, there will be an epilogue to lead into whatever comes next. And that epilogue will come at a later date. That will also be included with the game when it releases at no extra cost, basically. So that's where we're at right now when it comes to Deltarune. This will be a finished product come June 5th, to the best of my understanding, but there will be another chapter in the future to lead into whatever happens next.
Still not getting me excited for this. We'll see. I guess we'll see kind of what the reviews are looking for. But I'm not, like I said, I've not had anything. The game has not excited me for the last 2 years. Not 2 years, however many years. It's been far more than 2 years at this point. So for it to get me excited now, it's going to have to be something special. So we'll see.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping we're looking at when the finished product releases on the 5th.
Mm-hmm.
I will
Yeah.
be playing it all the way through because, again, I don't even remember the first chapter. I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember hardly like anything to do with this game because it's been so long, and I didn't play any of the subsequent chapters afterwards. So I do think like going into this and playing all the chapters one after another, that'll be really good for me because it'll be like just playing through the whole game, for
It's
the
the more
first time.
ideal way to do it.
Yeah.
But I never even got excited enough by the game initially to even finish the first chapter. So
Yeah, I mean, I know there's something special here, and I just don't know what it is. So that's what has me excited to find out. Like, hey, what is it that that's going on here? Like, I know some things about this game, and I want to know more. Like, I don't know. I really liked Undertale. I liked it a lot, and I know that this is a side story to Undertale, and I know this is in the same universe, and I know that this is like kind of like parallel to Undertale and does have some overlap. So I kind of want to see what's going on here. I do think it will be really good when it releases next week.
hopefully.
I wish I had more to talk about because in 2 days I will have more to talk about. Fuck, in 1 day I will have more to talk about. Tomorrow I will have more to talk about, but I can't talk about stuff tomorrow. So, you know.
Hey,
Anyway,
it's okay.
the reason I'm saying that is Elden Ring Night Rain releases tomorrow at 6 p.m. and I'm really excited to play it. So there's that.
Hey, well, it'll give you something to talk about next week when we're
It will, but
really
yeah,
crunching
while
for
we're
things to talk about.
waiting for that Switch to
Yeah.
in the next 2 days next week.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have Night Rain to talk about because I am very excited about this game. Very, very excited about it. So
Yeah. Anything else to talk about before we wrap up?
I don't think we have anything.
Okay, let's do it then. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us tonight. Don't forget you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. We also have all of our episodes available on game-crunch.com. And if you want to send us an email, gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon,
Hello.
any final thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Okay. That said, my name is Mike Anastasia. You can find me online. I'm Clash of Penguin there or on your favorite gaming console. And until next week, game on.
Game on.
Little toys on the shelf, they shine. Collector's dreams in plastic so fine. Tap them once, the magic's here. Amiibo, bring them near. Mario jumps and Link's got gear. Animal Crossing friends appear. Each one brings a story bright. Amiibo, light the night. Tap the figure, watch them go. In my game they steal the show. Every world from here they grow. Amiibo, magic starts to flow. Deep in dungeon or racing fast, these little toys, they're made to last. Memories from days of old. Amiibo, stories told. Touch the base, the game's alive. Each moment big, they arrive. Sky and sea and land we see. Amiibo, set them free. Tap the figure, watch them go. In my game they steal the show. Every world from here they grow. Amiibo, magic starts to flow. Deep in dungeon, approach them go. In my game they steal the show. Every world from here they grow. Amiibo, magic starts the flow.
That's that. Oh, actually, I did remember. There was another rumor I was going to say. Supposedly, there's supposed to be there's a rumor that there's going to be a Nintendo Direct.
That's what I just heard today. Yeah. It'll be right after the launch of it, and it's going to reveal more games and release dates. That's what I heard.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, we talked about it. They have to do it. So, and generally they do a Direct in June anyway, so it also makes sense.
Yep.
Just kind of like tee up their kind of summer and early fall stuff. And then we'll probably have one, I'm guessing, probably in September, like usual, to kind of finish up the fall stuff and get stuff kind of ready for next year. Because do we have any, we don't know any first party games that are not this year currently, correct?
I mean, we know Kirby's Air Ride, as well as Metroid Prime 4.
That's also this year.
That aren't this year, is what you were saying. Okay, sorry.
Any 2026 Switch 2 games from Nintendo
specifically. Is Tamagotchi Life Switch 2?
Nope, that's Switch 1.
Okay.
Same thing with Rhythm Heaven.
No, I don't think we know any that come out next year then. That's a very good point.
Yeah, so they're definitely sitting on something. So we'll see. I think we talked about it. It's actually probably going to be a pretty packed second half of the year for Switch stuff. It's Nintendo, I think, has enough titles to do one first party game a month at least through the end of the year. So that's why we just say, so June is Mario Kart, July's Donkey Kong. I'm just going to make up months for the rest just to kind of read down on them. So that would be like Metroid would be August, September would be Kirby Air Riders, October would be Hyrule Warriors, November would be Pokemon. That's it, I think, right?
I think that's it. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So they really could do that, and then not to mention all the kind of software update stuff they have too. It's like because Kirby's got its software update.
Yep.
Mario Party has its
Party.
software update in July.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's that. And then there's all the I think just the general patch stuff is coming out next week. So for like Tears of the Kingdom and the other ones that we went over last week. So yeah, there's that. I did get a notification from the eShop, but it's like, oh, your download for Civ 7's releasing its pre-order date. Like, okay, cool. So my pre-order for the Switch 2 upgrade for the Civ. So yeah, there's that. And I keep checking for updates on Target to see if they're like going to update the shipping day or anything. But
Yeah, no update on my Walmart or Best Buy order at all yet, and they haven't taken the money out either. So
yeah,
you know.
same. I expect it probably will happen this week.
Probably like Friday, right? Because then they gotta have it. I don't know, maybe Monday.
I'm thinking probably this week because they're getting the. I don't think they'll ship this week, but I think they'll like update kind of their.
Oh, let me show you something awful actually.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we know that several stores already have them right now, so there's that. But I got to show you this awful thing real quick. Look at this. I'll send the picture to you. So, do you know how Walmart works?
No.
So this means it's being delivered to me via Uber by an actual person, and that's going to hand it to me directly. Another person is going to have their hands on my Switch 2 that is just an Uber driver. I don't trust this.
R.I.P.
Yeah, right?
Switch.
Right? This is never arriving. If you see the bag there, it means one of their drivers that they hire that's not from Walmart directly will be delivering it to me. This is how they plan on getting everyone their Switch 2 by 9 a.m.
Yeah. God bless.
That is a problem.
Well, especially
these motherfuckers have stole my groceries before. I'm pretty sure they'll steal a $500 console.
I mean, the only thing that's nice there is like presumably that's the only item there. So it's not like they can be like, oh, I must have left the bag back at the store. Like, yeah, Walmart's going to confirm that they left with it. So, and then they have to, obviously the driver's got to do it with you. So if there's a loss of your system, you know instantly who to blame.
Yep.
Granted, I'm sure there's some schemes that they could think of, like, oh, I was robbed on the way to his house. And also you'd think, too, that they probably, like, a lot of Uber drivers, you'd think it would be more practical for them to take a bunch of orders at once and kind of deliver them around instead of delivering and going back and delivering and going back, delivering and going back.
So Walmart contracts Uber drivers specifically for individual orders.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably why they'll only be delivering one at a time, that sort of deal. I don't know. But
I don't know, like whenever I
sure know I'm worried.
Whenever I do like food and stuff from Uber, like they'll they'll go and pick up my order, and then they'll stop at a restaurant on the way back to pick up someone else's order that's kind of in the same direction. And then they'll drop off the one, then they'll head and drop off the other. Like their Uber system seems to be built well enough to kind of multitask some of those things. So you might have an Uber driver with like four, like, I don't know, a couple dozen Switch 2s in their back seat, kind of driving things around all day. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm sure somebody knows how it's going to work already, but
yeah, I hope that it works. That's all I could say.
Yeah, hopefully. Otherwise, well, at least you got backups.
No, that one's my brother's. Mine is coming from Best Buy. If that one doesn't show up, that's tough shit.
That's what I was going to say, because I saw it didn't have the Mario Kart thing, so I'm like, well, that sucks.
I also thought about on the 3rd, if I can get up the funds to do so, going to GameStop and waiting in line.
Oh, just as like getting because you only ended up getting 2, right?
Yes,
you wanted
getting Katie hers.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking about doing.
I'm sure that won't be a shit show.
I mean, if I show up at like, I don't know, like 7 a.m. and wait until like fuck all o'clock, I'll probably be fine.
Depends on how anxious people are. So you might get some of the ones who, because at this point, this is like, last ditch effort. The people who are waiting might be waiting longer than normal.
I
don't know. We'll see.
I mean, if I can't do it, then I just won't do it. But if like there's a chance, like if I go up there, I'm like, hey, you guys doing Switch 2s? And for people waiting in line, I read that some places will be directly from your page. Are you one of them? And if they're like, yeah, I'll be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna start waiting now.
Oh, it's not every store that's doing it? Just
I
certain ones?
mean, okay, so they say it's every store that's doing it, right? But we also heard that it was every store that was taking pre-orders, and we saw several stores that had 0. So, you know, who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is possible. I'm trying to think. I don't know for us. I think the lowest I think we had for like Swiss system launches for these were like restocks. We'd be like, oh, we're gonna have 5 or 6. And we were a pretty small GameStop, but I don't know. I guess it really depends on how much they got.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.